What is up, y'all? In this video, I'm going to give you the secret that no one's talking about on how to overcome objections. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jack Sumner. Over the last 5 years, I've been obsessed with high-ticket sales, remote sales, digital closing, specifically over Zoom and over a phone. And the reason is I'm so passionate about it is I've seen it change a lot of people's lives. We've helped thousands of people get into the space. And I truly believe that it's the best way if you're a beginner or you have no experience in the online space to actually see results in this industry. I say that because there's so many people out there talking about start your own business, all these online businesses, and what they don't tell you is all the things that it takes. And sales for me is learning how to master one skill. That's why I believe in it. And I've seen it change a lot of people's lives, and it's, to me, the most important thing. So in this video, I want to talk about how to handle objections, okay? And I'm not going to give you the whole playbook. I want to talk about it, almost rant on it from a different perspective that I haven't seen many people talk about. So let's start by this. What is an objection? An objection is when you're on a sales call, any reason that a prospect does not want to move forward after hearing the offer. Now, there's other objections before they hear the offer where they just have their guard up. We're not talking about those. Just for this is after they've heard the offer. They know what it costs. They know what the offer's about. They know who they're going to be working with. And they come up with a reason why they should not get started. And so many people are teaching this, okay? They're teaching to have the golden tongue and say the perfect thing and make them think the right way. And again, all of these things are true. All of these things are valid and they're great practice. But the best way to actually overcome an objection is not necessarily by saying the right thing, is by getting the prospect to think the right thing and actually saying less. And so overcoming an objection, the key here is up front at the beginning of the sales call. If you've seen any of my videos, you know we have a 5-step sales process. Step 2, we get the data collection. This is where we're asking questions, and we're going to go over a few questions in a second. But when you start to collect this data, you're not just asking the questions because somebody said so. You're asking the questions to get the data, and the answer to these questions are going to help you overcome the objections at the end of the call, okay? So the first thing I want you to understand is people want to be congruent. What does that mean? They want to be the same. They don't want to switch up. They don't want to be fake. They want to be authentically themselves. And if they tell you one thing, they don't want to go against it. And when you understand this, you will now understand why these questions that I'm talking about are so important. Why asking the right questions up front helps you never get the objections at the end of the call. Or if you get them, you know how to handle them, okay? So people understand this. Prospects, they want to be congruent. Now, not everybody will be congruent, but this is a very good baseline to start. Most people will want to be congruent. Whether they will or not is a different story. Okay, so let's make me smaller here. Let's keep going. Here are questions that you're asking up front in the data collection process. What was it that made you book a call today? Like, why were you interested in what we're doing? What are your goals with your business? What is your goals personally? Right? How close are you to those goals? What's keeping you from getting there? What's your current monthly revenue? What are your biggest challenges? What have you tried to solve those challenges or those problems? Why is it important to solve it today, like right now? Why is it important to solve them as quick as possible? What money do you have set aside for investments, like that you could invest into something? Are you the sole decision maker? So these are different questions, and there's more of them, but these are kind of the core questions you want to ask when you're doing this, because I'll show you in a second objections that come up and how you can go back to this data that you collected. You got your pen and your paper out, and you're asking these questions, and you're writing down your answers, and how you can call back on these questions because people want to be congruent. This is how you truly overcome objections, not by trying to come up with the perfect line to get them to go forward, okay? Here's some examples of objections. I need to think about it. The money, it's too expensive, or I don't have the money right now. A significant other, I need to talk to my wife, or I need to talk to my business partner. Not a priority. It's just not a priority right now. Get to the end, it's not something that I really am in a hurry to do. I just don't need it. I don't think. I could actually do this on my own. Okay. So let's just go through a few of these. Not a priority. Okay. So if we go back here, and early in the call, we asked this question: why is it important to solve it now? And the answer is because we're literally bleeding money, or I literally need to change my life. I have to get out of my job and I'm miserable, or I have to start seeing this business be successful, or we're going to go down. Okay. If you get to the end and they tell you it's not a priority, what are you thinking? There's a red flag going off. Earlier you said you have to do it. Now that you've seen the offer, there's something else that has came up. You have to get real with this person. You say, okay, I understand. Earlier you told me that you're going to die if you don't solve this problem. Now you're saying it's not a priority. What's really going on? And so this provides you the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper. And it's not like you're challenging, like you said this earlier, you better get started. It's like, what's really happening in your head right now? What's the real objection? And then we can get to the bottom of why they're saying or how they're feeling. If they say, I just don't have the money, and earlier you asked them, how much money do you have set aside for investments, for example? Or what's your current monthly revenue? And they're doing a crazy amount of revenue, but now they don't have the money for your product or service, and it's clear that it was in their budget earlier. You ask the same thing. What's really happening here? What's going on? Because earlier you told me this, now you're kind of saying that. I've been on a lot of sales calls, and when people tell me that, it's, there's usually something else going on. And so you're just diagnosing it like a doctor, okay? If they want to talk to a significant other, right? And like, hey, I need to talk to my wife before I get started, make sure everything's good. In the beginning, if you ask, hey, are you the sole decision maker? And they tell you that objection, I need to go talk to somebody, you can call them, it's called confronting it. Okay. It's like confronting the elephant in the room. Like, you've changed up here somewhere after seeing this offer, and now what you're saying is just not congruent with what you're doing. Now, if they most people, if you do it right, they're going to stay congruent. They're going to stay congruent because they want to be congruent. If they're not, then you need to confront what's changed and get to the bottom of what's really happening. If they need to think about it, and you've asked them a question, what's kept you from getting there? And they were like, well, I was going to do, another program and get started, but I just hesitated and just didn't want to make a bad decision. And then at the end of the call, they're saying like that they tell you they want to think about it. You now know simply they're doing this. They're running the same pattern, the same script they were on last time, and they didn't get any results. So you can call back on this data. That's why these questions that we're asking up front are everything to overcoming the objection. It's not saying the right thing. It's not coming up with a magic line to push them forward and get them into something they don't want to do. It's to let them realize where they've changed their mind. And when you help them realize that, they're going to be like, okay, this guy can dissect he understands what I'm going through at a high level. And then you can solve the true problem if there's a true objection, or they will communicate it to you. So many people in this game, they get an objection that's not real, and the person gets off the call and they disappear and they never come back. What you want to get to is what we call the real objection. You want to get to the bottom. Maybe they don't believe in the product or service, and we need to solve that. We need to go show them more social proof, or we need to show them more testimonials. Or maybe the money is just scaring them, and it's a huge issue for them, and they're just nervous to get started. Then we need to have the real conversation of what's keeping them from getting started. And when you can do that, you're going to close a lot more deals and you're going to overcome objections. I hope you get this, y'all. There's so many different frameworks and way of overcoming objections out there. Understand that when you get really good, all of the objections, you can handle them up front at the beginning of the call, because people want to be congruent. At the end of the call, if they're not congruent, just confront them on what's really happening in their mind. Say, what's really changed since the beginning of this call? And then a lot of times it could be the price. It could be some other fear that came up, and you need to handle that and show them why that's not going to be an issue, especially if it's the best decision for them. Remember, we're trying to help people make great decisions and truly do things that are going to help them. That's the purpose of this video. That's the purpose of overcoming objections, because the world is better when you're better. And when you can help other people be better, guess what? The world's even more amazing. Let's go.